think about how a giant global company actually manages who gets to see what? And I'm not talking about your social media settings. We're diving into the world of digital identity inside massive corporate systems like SAP. So today, we're going to break down exactly how you get your digital keys to the kingdom and why it's so important for keeping everything secure.
I mean, this is the big question, right? It's a huge challenge for any company. You've got to give your people the tools they need to do their jobs, but at the same time, you absolutely can't risk some super sensitive company data getting out. It is a massive balancing act, and honestly, the way SAP handles it is pretty slick.
All right, to make this all make sense, let's think about an SAP system not as just a piece of software, but as a giant, super secure corporate headquarters. It's basically a digital fortress, and inside, it's holding all of the company's most valuable secrets and information. Now, in our digital headquarters, you can't just waltz in through the front door. Nope, you need a key card. And in the world of SAP, that key card, well, that's your user account. It is the absolute first step. Without it, you're not getting anything done. So how do they actually make this digital key card? It all starts with this thing called the user master record. The best way to think about this is like it's your official corporate passport. It's your one-of-a-kind digital ID that follows you everywhere you go inside that system. And this record, this file, is the bedrock of the entire security system. It is the system's one and only source of truth for who you are and what you're allowed to touch. If it's not in your record, you can't do it. Simple as that. This kind of centralization is what stops a huge company from descending into total security chaos. And check this out. This is a really crucial security detail. Your key card gets you into the offices, sure, but there is no way it is going to open the door to the building's server room or the main power grid. Access to that core stuff, the deep down system, that's controlled by a whole different set of technical keys. It creates this vital firewall between you, the user, and the raw data itself. So, how does this ID get made? Well, an administrator uses a specific command. In SAP, they call it a transaction called SU01. They pop in some basic info, you gotta have at least a last name, and they assign you a temporary password. And just like that, from a couple of simple fields, your entire digital life at the company is born. Kinda crazy, right? Okay, so you've got your digital ID. You're in the front door of the headquarters. Now what? See, just having an ID is, well, it's kinda useless on its own. You need permissions. This next part is all about programming what you're actually allowed to do now that you're inside. This quote right here, it basically explains the entire logic of SAP security. Instead of trying to give people hundreds of individual permissions one by one, which would be a nightmare, the system bundles them into what are called roles. And these roles match up with real-world jobs. So, if you're hired for the sales team, you get the sales role. And boom, you instantly have all the permissions you need and, just as importantly, none of the ones you don't. And you can see just how different these roles can be. A salesperson, yeah, they can get into customer orders, look at sales reports, but they are completely walled off from seeing sensitive financial data. Meanwhile, you've got an administrator who has much wider access so they can manage all the user accounts. These roles create these really clear, really strong boundaries. All right, now we have to get even more granular. We have to look inside each of those roles, because inside them are the individual keys that open very specific doors. And in the SAP world, these are called authorizations. Just think of an authorization as the most detailed level of control you can get. It is a single yes or no question. Can this user create a sales order? Yes. Okay. Can they approve that same order if it's for more than, say, $10,000? Nope. Every single specific action is governed by its own little authorization check. So let's see how this plays out in the real world. Our user from the sales team, the one with the sales role, decides to try and access a super sensitive quarterly financial report. The split second they click that button, the system goes, hold on, and runs an authorization check. And access denied, blocked. Why? Because that specific authorization you need to run that report is not part of their sales role. So the system just throws up an error. This is the digital fortress in action, checking every single key for every single door every single time. Okay, so after all this work on the back end, you've got the user record, the roles, the authorizations. What does the employee actually see at the end of the day? Well, they see their own personalized workspace, which SAP calls the Fiori Launchpad. But hold on. Before you can even lay eyes on this Launchpad, the system runs that very first, most basic check.
Do you have a valid user master record? Without that digital passport, you're not even getting to the front gate. And this is where all that back-end security stuff becomes real for the user. See, the Fiori Launchpad isn't just some generic one-size-fits-all portal. It's a dynamic dashboard that is built just for you. The little app tiles you see are a direct reflection of the roles you've been given. If you don't have the authorization for a certain task, the tile for that task, it just doesn't show up. It's security by design. You can't click what isn't there. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, what is it? It's that everything, from the moment you log in, to the apps you can see, to every single click you make, it is all controlled by your one single user master record. It's your key, it's your job description, and it's your security profile all rolled into one. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. If every single employee's digital ID is a key to the corporate kingdom, then deciding who gets to create those keys, who gets to change them, who gets to manage them, who gets to be the locksmith, well, that might just be one of the most critical security decisions a company can ever make.
You ever have a user come to you